To set up a flagging operation on a two-lane, two-way traffic road, it's best to locate and mark the different parts of the work zone. To do this, you'll need a way to measure and mark distances. A measuring wheel, center skip lines, in some cases a truck odometer using 1/10 of a mile as 528 feet, or a well-calibrated stride will work to measure. If using paint to mark the locations, white or pink are the preferred colors. Begin by marking the ending and beginning of the work area. The work area can be as large as you need it to be to get the job done. Keep the size to a minimum, though, to inhibit traffic as little as possible. From the beginning of the work area, measure and mark the beginning of the buffer space. The suggested buffer space distance is based upon the speed and given in Table 6E-1 from the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. At 55 miles per hour, the suggested buffer space would be 495 feet. From the beginning of the buffer space, measure and mark the beginning of the taper. The taper is the series of cones on an angle to close off the lane. For a flagging setup, this taper will be 50 to 100 feet in length. The beginning of the taper is also the flagger's station. At this point, make sure the flagger will have an escape route and good visibility. At 55 miles per hour, this required visibility would be 495 feet. From the beginning of the taper, measure and mark the location of the flagger ahead sign. This distance is given in Table 6H-3 from the MUTCD. You must decide if you're in an urban or rural area. If you're in a rural area, the distance between the signs is a minimum of 500 feet. This distance can be approximated using 1/10 of a mile on your truck odometer or using the measuring wheel. If you're in an urban area, you must decide if the road is low speed or high speed. Most agencies choose 40 miles per hour or less as low speed and 45 miles per hour or more as high speed. Refer to your highway agency if you're unsure. From the flagger ahead sign, measure and mark the location of the one-lane road sign. This distance will also come from Table 6H-3. For a rural area, it's also 500 feet. From the one-lane road sign, measure and mark the location of the roadwork sign. This distance will also come from Table 6H-3. For a rural area, it will also be 500 feet. Now you're ready to install the traffic control devices. Begin by placing the roadwork signs, followed by the one-lane road signs, followed by the flagger ahead signs at the locations marked. Ensure that the signs are at least 36 inches by 36 inches wide for a conventional road and retroreflective if used at night. Once you have the signs installed for both directions, then place your flaggers into position and have them stop traffic in each direction. While traffic is stopped, place your cones beginning at the upstream end with the beginning of the taper that closes the lane. This taper is 50 to 100 feet in length and should have cones spaced at no more than 20 feet apart. Cones should be orange in color and a minimum of 18 inches tall for daylight and low-speed applications. When the speeds are 45 or higher, or you are working at night, the minimum size cone is 28 inches with 2 white retroreflective strips. Continue placing cones throughout the buffer space, work area, and downstream taper if you have one. The cones in the buffer space and work area have a maximum spacing of 2 times the speed limit in feet. The cones in the downstream taper have a maximum spacing of 20 feet. Once all the signs and cones are in place, the work crew can begin. It's also a good idea to do a drive-through inspection of the work zone to make sure that everything has been installed correctly. The traffic control is removed in the reverse order as it's installed. First, the work crew gets off the road. Next, the flaggers stop traffic. The cones are then removed from the end of the job to the beginning. The flaggers are then removed from their stations. The signs are removed beginning with the flagger ahead signs, then the one-lane road signs, and finally the roadwork signs.